Dumelang Baratua and welcome to episode 5 of Finance Wednesdays, your go-to platform for everything finance related in the province. I'm your host, Madudi Chaba, and before we go into the introduction of who our guest is, I would like to make a quick recap of the discussions we've had. So far, we've done the budget process, we've discussed the transversal systems, the central supplier database, as well as financial governance. So now today we're going to be looking into discussing everything infrastructure related. And our guest is Mr. Enzo Wax, who is the Director for Infrastructure Performance Management in the department. Afternoon, Dade, how are you?
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for joining us, Dade. Can you quickly tell us about your role here at the department as the Provincial Infrastructure Manager?
My role is to provide predominantly strategic coordination in terms of planning, budgeting, and then delivery of infrastructure. And it's basically to ensure that my staff provides the necessary technical support to our stakeholders which include your departments and municipalities. On top of that, we also need to ensure that we provide institutional capacity within these stakeholders in terms of the necessary technical skills to then provide efficient and effective value for money infrastructure delivery within the province.
And how does infrastructure management contribute to Treasury's bigger goals of good governance and service delivery?
Well, the bigger role that we play is predominantly through ensuring that the departments comply to the necessary prescripts in terms of planning and budgeting, and through those processes that they will be able to deliver effective and efficient infrastructure, provide the necessary housing, schools, the healthcare facilities that is needed, and indirectly through that process we are then contributing to good governance. We also provide monitoring and oversight and physical verification, which inadvertently makes sure that we provide the necessary services and to build the trust in terms of the public, in terms of the government, in terms of the provisions that they make in terms of public infrastructure.
Okay. And how do you identify risks and mitigate them during infrastructure projects?
We've got a proactive, data-driven process in terms of mitigating or identifying risks. So what we've done is we've developed a risk matrix, which is aligned to the framework for infrastructure delivery and procurement management, which we primarily use to assess the maturity levels of our stakeholders to then deliver on infrastructure. And through that process, we then identify the various risks that will then curtail or then hamper infrastructure delivery, whether it be from procurement, operation and maintenance, the delivery of infrastructure, and for planning. And through a collaborative approach with internal audit, we then identify that risk, and then we identify mitigations to then ensure that we avoid any failures in terms of infrastructure delivery, be it for planning, budgeting, etc. And specifically on procurement, so we could then find mitigations and then put in controls that could then, through either rescoping or ensuring that the necessary contracts is then put in place to manage infrastructure.
And with that being said, what do you see as the key infrastructure challenges facing the province?
Key infrastructure challenges at the moment is planning. There's an element of delayed procurement. There's also challenges in terms of, like I said, the institutional capacity or technical capabilities of some of our stakeholders, which we are trying to then augment and then build within departments as well as within the municipalities through various capacitation sessions that we have with the departments. And I think those are the challenges that we are faced with at this current point in time.
Your team recently attended the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium. What was their takeaway from the symposium?
I think the takeaway was focus on the integration of sustainability and resilience planning and climate change, more focus on climate change and sound planning, which is in long-term planning. And long-term planning in terms of planning for the life cycle of an asset, costing for that asset, to ensure there's operation and maintenance, there's proper planning and budgeting, and also the utilization of alternative funding mechanisms to then lift the burden on the fiscus through either leveraging from development finance institutions making use of public-private partnerships, and then obviously we also make use of the BFI budget facilities for infrastructure mechanisms to then fund infrastructure or new infrastructure within the province.
And how do you see these ideas influencing infrastructure planning and delivery?
These the ideas, we've already started with the process of influencing or trying to implement these mechanisms within our planning processes at the departmental level. Like I said, it's encapsulated in the framework of infrastructure delivery and procurement management. And through our efforts of ensuring compliance to DORA and the various prescripts, we are giving credence to these mechanisms and these philosophies, methodologies that they presented. We've also started with the process of the development of the master infrastructure plan for the province, which is a key focus on integration between your provincial, municipal, and even at the national projects within the province, so that we can ensure that we provide services at key points within the province, so that we can ensure economic growth and social transformation and social cohesion and upliftment within our province. We've also started with the process of leveraging from public-private partnerships initiatives. We've registered a few projects within the province for transport, for the way bridges, and for TRPW for the parliamentary village. We've started leveraging on the pledging program that we're running with Costa for the accelerated housing program. So most of those integration and sustainability mechanisms we've already inculcated in our process. And through our assessments of the various plans of departments, we are fostering or advocating that they look at more climate change or green building initiatives, so that we could then manage our aging infrastructure more effectively within the province. So those are some of the methodologies and mechanisms that we've already started with, and that we will continue through our various processes within the province.
Wonderful. And do you have any final message that you would like to share with our viewers about the future of infrastructure in our province?
The future of infrastructure within the province, it's great. We've got a lot of potential in terms of infrastructure, primarily due to the fact that we are a key focus area in terms of climate change or renewable energy programs, because we've got a lot of resources in terms of that initiative. And that puts us in a position where we could leverage from those programs to then ensure that we develop the province collectively in a collaborative effort to ensure that we then foster economic growth and social transformation within the province. So we've got a lot of potential. We just need to work together, and we need to plan more effectively for our infrastructure.
Thank you so much for that, Ndade. As you've heard, we must work together and plan better so that provincial infrastructure flourishes from here on out. We would love to hear your ideas about any topics that you would like us to discuss, and don't forget to follow and share and like our social media platforms. I am Madudi Chaba. Danki Hangwe, Danki Havedi, Danki Harar. Ciao, ciao. Thank you so much, sir.